have two children who are in recovery. Our oldest daughter, who will be, 6 years in October, and our son, who will be 17 months in recovery next month. It's been quite a journey, a long journey. And we first, of course, started that journey with our oldest daughter
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was, to us, something altogether new and very different. Neither of our families have had any experience with addiction. And at the time, none of our friends had had any experience with their children. It was very difficult for us because we didn't have a lot of people to turn to. And at that time, there were not a lot of resources that were out there. I think that's one of the things that we found to be most difficult. It was just, who did we turn to? Who did we go to? I know there were counselors, and we certainly spoke with some counselors, but then we actually ended up trying to reach out to other people, like such as my daughter's sponsor, when she finally got a sponsor. Just desperate for some advice and how we ourselves should be handling the situation. And, of course, as parents, we always feel like we have to fix things. And that was our first instinct, I think, is like, we have to make this better. We have to just make this right. And I can remember researching and running off articles and leaving them on my daughter's bed and, things that I thought she would find helpful because I found them helpful, and thinking that that would make a difference. But no, of course it didn't. And, we finally realized that it's not going to come from us, it's going to come from her.
The biggest thing that you find out is when we finally went to one of our first couple meetings, you're sitting there and there's 3 gentlemen that are in recovery telling you you're doing everything wrong as a parent. The enabling part of it, that you want to help and you'll do anything. And you said, you have to stop. And that may be the hardest thing for anyone to do, because that's your child. You're looking to, I'm going to fix this. And just like Karen said, you can't fix it. They have to fix it. I think for me, that was one of the hardest things.
But tell me sort of emotionally what the experience was. So frustrating, shocking, just kind of how some of the ways that you were feeling at different times.
So I say at first, shock, really wondering. And then, of course, I thought, what did we do wrong? What did we do something wrong as parents? Were we, did we miss something? Is there something we could have done differently? And so you start to wonder, is there something that I should have said or I should have done? And then scared, very scared. And I just remember, like, when we went to a counseling session, for instance, the first time that we met with a particular counselor, they said, you have to take care of yourself. And at the time, I did not get that. And I said, I don't have the problem. It's my daughter.
Right.
And not recognizing that we too had a problem. And, we learned that through going to the meetings, the Family Restored meetings, is that, we were also obsessed. We were obsessed with her behavior. And that was, that compulsion was, it drove me crazy. It made me feel like at times, like I just reached the point where I couldn't or didn't want to really go out and talk with people. I was almost pulling back and just wanting to because I didn't think that they understood. And so I started to feel like I couldn't talk to others about it because there's no possible way they could understand it. They haven't been through it. So then you start to feel depressed, and it's lonely because there's, until we started to go to a meeting, and then others started to join that meeting and also speak about their experiences. And then you felt like you're no longer alone.
But there's anger to it also.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get very angry. Why does this happen to us?
Yeah.
What did we do so wrong?
Yeah.
That, we thought we were good parents. We were doing everything we were supposed to be doing. What the hell did I do? What did we do? How did this come about? And just like Karen said, when we started to go to the meetings, you start to listen and you open up a little bit more to the people conducting the meetings, and you learn. A lot of it is education.
Yeah.
Because I remember walking out of the house and looking at my neighbors and saying, they're looking at me different. My children, there's something wrong with my children. I'm a bad parent.
Yeah.
What did I do so wrong to deserve this?
Mhm.
And that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
But it takes a while to get there. It takes a long while.
So tell me a little bit about the education piece. That comes up again and again and again, just how important education is. And I'm constantly surprised. In fact, actually, we really don't know much about this until it lands in our laps. But just talk a little bit about, when you realized you needed to learn and what you learned and how you learned. Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think the education piece for us was when we started to attend the meetings that were conducted by people that were in recovery. We started to learn a lot more about the disease. And for us, it was a feeling, oh, there's hope. And because we really didn't know if there's no cure for it, we thought, then is this a death sentence? Is this something that we're eventually just going to see our daughter whittle away? And, but what we didn't understand is that, no, there is recovery. Recovery does exist. And we didn't know what that looked like because we never had experienced it. Going to those meetings is what provided the education. And it showed us, firsthand, this is what recovery looks like. And this is what someone who, in that case, in doing step work, was able to accomplish in doing that step work. And, where they are today versus the stories they told from where they had been, it was just amazing. And we could so relate to those stories. And granted, our daughter was not there yet, but it gave us the hope that she could be there, because if they could do it, then we thought, well, then she should be able to as well. And we gained a better understanding about just what it looks like to support her, but not enable her, and to provide help when she's ready for it, and to offer that to her at any time, and to tell her that we're willing to be there for her and, to help her with treatment, but we're not there to give her money and to, provide her with things that she would misuse. So that's where we really, I think, had the education. It was like, what does that look like? And what does it look like with our other children too? Because we had 2 other children that we also needed to think about, and the dynamics of, as a family, what, how do we handle that? And, her sister, how does she handle that? And we had to learn that we couldn't just focus on that one child. We also had to continue to focus on our other children as well.
Eddie, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, what Karen said, and the biggest thing that I get out of it with these guys, going to the meetings and talking to them and saying, look, it's not going to be a straight road for you, for your daughter. This is not going to be easy. You're not going to say, okay, we got a magic room or a magic place to go or a magic pill. It's going to cure her. You're going to have ups and downs, but the one thing that you have to stay focused on, when she asks for help, you need to be there. You need to do whatever you can do. If she says, look, I'm ready, I need to go somewhere to get help. And Karen and I said that from the beginning. Whenever she's ready, we're ready. No matter what time of the day and night, we have to pick up, which believe me, we had to pick her up, and we had to do many things that we didn't want to do. But in the end, it worked like they had told us. It didn't really look like they said it was going to look like, but we got there. Because when you're facing losing a child, right, you literally do anything. For me, that was the biggest thing. We did stuff from interventions. We did that. We brought one of my children to jail. We did everything. Everything that we had to do, we did. And we didn't want to do it, but we said, this is the only way it's going to work. And eventually, it's worked out so far. So, it's just, you have to have hope. You can't, if you lose the hope, then you're gonna drive yourself crazy. So you always have a little piece of hope to hang on to, and that's what they taught me. Because there were days that I don't want to do anything. I don't, you don't want to hear anything. You don't want to talk to anybody. But when you see it turned little by little. Yeah, we fell down a couple times, probably more than a couple times, but we got back up, and our children got back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think though what you said, Eddie, is that we got back up because
Yeah.
we really needed to learn how to take care of ourselves
Yeah,
too.
we did.
And that was what was so important. And I think that what was stressed at the meeting too. It's like, how are you caring for yourself? Because yes, no matter what you do, you're really not going to change what your son or your daughter are going to do. You need to take care of yourself, because if you don't, then no one is going to get well. And what we also found out is that as we started to get better, then there was more willingness on the other end for our children to get better. And I think that was due to the fact that we knew better how to set boundaries and how to take care of ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And therefore, we were really helping them by doing that, by helping ourselves.
So just describe to me a couple of things that you did to take care of yourselves. I mean, I definitely the boundary setting and sort of not having your sole focus be on your child that has the addiction. What other things did you do to take care of yourselves?
First, and probably foremost, it was to understand that I could not, in my case, control the situation, and trying not to be as obsessed with my behavior. For instance, checking phone records and doing things or spying, or, it's like learning that, letting go of some of that, because all it did was really drive me crazy. So it wasn't accomplishing anything, but just making me a little bit more crazy. And then finding a place that I could go to find support. And that was where the meetings came in.
Family meeting, yes.
Yes, because we really, that's where we really found hope. But we also were able to share and find other families who were in similar situations and who understood and who weren't there to judge, and who really, because firsthand they knew. And even though some came and they were at different positions or different, places with their children, they understood, So I think that in terms of the support was really greatly needed. And then taking care of myself as far as exercise and doing things that make me feel better mentally, and feel better about myself, and then trying not to talk about it all the time. I think that was hard because, like I said, you don't really want to talk about it with friends. But then I found after a while that friends started to ask me questions. And there were times when I just didn't want to talk about it, and knowing that was okay too, and that sometimes you just got tired of talking about it. Yeah.
I get up every morning, I go to the gym every morning, clear my head, I feel good for the day. If I get to a point someday where I get a little frustrated and stuff, there were 2 specific guys that I had their phone numbers in recovery. I picked the phone up. Let's go have coffee. Meet me for breakfast. Let's talk. They were great. And they still are today. They said, call me anytime, and I do. I still do. This is what, 8 years later going to family meeting, I still call. And you have to, right? And and if someone calls me, I never say, I always answer the phone. I never say no. Yeah, let's do, we'll do. And the same with Karen. It's her more than me. We just, what can we give back?
Yeah.
For what we got, we'll give. And we try to give more. That's all.
Yeah.
That I think has been huge for us, is the ability to help
someone
others.
else. Yeah.
That has made such a difference, I think, in our lives.
What's your family like now? How have things changed?
I think as a family, we've traveled together. We've done things together since the kids were very, very small. So it always meant a lot for us to Sunday dinners. It was always family time for us to invite friends and more family over, and holidays, and to go through so many holidays without, some of our children there was very painful. And now to have everyone there and, once again, to have happiness back in the family.
And you can laugh and smile and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's just changed a lot. And we're extremely grateful, very grateful for everything that everyone that has helped us along the way. And, once again, the family meeting and the Family Restored and just what they provided, and it's just been huge for us, and I think it's helped us in terms of like our relationship. I once again, I remember going to a counselor and them saying, okay, so how are you two doing? And we said, well, what do you mean? We're fine. Like,
Oh yeah.
but we know that there's a lot of people, that's a difficult thing for a marriage to go through. So, the ability to be able to stay connected and hopefully be on the same page was huge. And I think that meeting helped us to be there and to both be on that same page and to be able to follow through and do the things that we needed to do for ourselves and for our family.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the meetings were educational about hope, but you met some people that you would never meet in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking to them and they'll tell you, I'm a drug addict. What do you mean you're a drug addict? I mean, you're brilliant,
Yeah.
And then you realize it hits any walk of life. It can happen to anybody. Sometimes you're driving down the road, you see this homeless person, you look at them a certain way. Well, I don't look at them that way. I don't look at anybody that way. I mean, maybe it's because of what happened. It's a lot of things. But you say, okay, how can I help them? And that's the first thought that comes to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to help somebody?
I just love hearing this. I really do.
I just look at everything differently. It changed everything. Yeah. And for the better. So much for the better.
Definitely.
And I'm appreciative of, everybody at those meetings, everything they tell you, even every time you go, you hear something. There's a lot of similarities, but there's something different about everybody. It's amazing what happens. Yeah.
It was eye-opening for us to learn so much about people and, about addiction, and that no one is immune. To better understand that is something that I think we all could benefit from.